our weapons training, we're going to be working with the knife. This is obviously a rubber knife for safety's sake. We are going to try and cover all the different angles of attack with your knife, depending on the grip. Some people claim the bayonet grip is far more effective than the ice pick grip, and others again say the ice pick grip is far more effective than the bayonet grip. I think they both have their merits depending on the situation. So for the bayonet grip, this is attacking. There's no sneakiness, there's no hiding the blade, there's no reason for it. Your opponent's in front of you, this is going to be a fight. You want the pointy end as close to your opponent as possible. So in a fight where your opponent now has a weapon and you are fighting with an ice pick grip, this puts you in a slight disadvantage. If you're really good, probably not that much. But still, the blade is now further away from your opponent. Whereas the bayonet grip, this is where you are now attacking your opponent and you are trying to get to your target as quick as possible. Okay, but I don't know which one is the best. I think train both depending on the situation. We're going to start with the bayonet grip. So first thing that's important is you do not hold your weapon out in front of you. This exposes your arm. It exposes the weapon. As we do with the swords, as we do with nunchaku, it doesn't matter which weapon, we don't want to present our weapon to our opponent and have them grab the arm and thereby negating the advantage we had with this weapon in our hand. So we have our shield arm up. If your opponent has a blade, you'd be using the back of the arm to try at least and minimize cutting to the veins here. So you're going to try and have the back of the arm in front of you, which is just as terrible when you get cut, but at least you don't bleed out immediately. Your weapon you hold at your hip. You try not exposing the arm. You keep the weapon on the side here. Shield arm is out, but when you lunge into the attack, it might be by punching, by grabbing, by deflecting. It doesn't matter what, but we're going to step forward and we're going to start as if I'm punching. So I'm pushing the arm out and I'm cutting. I'm not lifting the arm and slicing. You don't need a lot of power if your blade is sharp enough to cut your opponent. So from here, as I'm moving forward, whatever the reason was here, I move in, my arm comes out as if I'm punching, and I'm cutting from shoulder to hip, 1. And then we do another one, 2. Now remember, this doesn't mean that at this point you don't stab and you try and finish the fight. This is a combination of all the different angles. So we're just going to go through them. This is A, B, C, D, up to the last letter, up to Z. And how you write your words, that's going to be your story you have to write later on. So from here, we move forward. 1, then 2. Then from here, we just turn the hand around and we cut that same angle up, keeping our elbow in. Again, we're not exposing the arm. We want the pointy end to be pointing at our opponent the whole time, and up. Now from here, we're going to use that point there and stab. You want to stab to the crook of the neck here. 1. Twist and try and tear whatever you've struck. Cut through. Stab. Again, twist. You are tearing open whatever you've punctured and cut. Then from here, we go up. This is more a defensive movement, especially if your opponent has grabbed your arm. Break out, chop down. Now you're going to stab, and you want to stab not straight in, but in and up, trying to get underneath the rib cage. 1, and smash. Now that smash seems like an unnecessary movement, but again, if you find yourself in a position where you need to get your opponent away from you, remember that the butt of the knife can also be used as a weapon. It's obviously not the ideal part of the weapon, but it can be used as a weapon, and that's all that final part means to show you. So let's try again. We're here, we've punched, we've blocked, we've kicked, we've spat at the person, we've thrown our keys at them. Now we attack. Now we want the point end, we want the blade as close to our opponent as possible. So we move in with a punch, cutting as we're punching. 1, 2. I'm trying to stay within my body's framework. I'm not exposing myself. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's do that again. Knife is in the right hand. I'm going to turn my back to the camera and try and follow. So from this position here, whatever we've done to distract our opponent, we move in. Watch my elbow, it's not flaring out, it stays inside. I do shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. Then we go from right up to left, from left up to right. We stab, we tear open and cut. We stab, we tear open and cut. We drop our arm. Imagine someone grabbed your arm. You try and break out and chop down. Stab under the rib cage, smash on the nose. Okay, what I want you to do, pause the video and run through that sequence again on your own and try and get the whole sequence imprinted in your mind, and then start breaking it down, which is where our self-defense comes in, or our fighting skills come in, is when we understand all the angles. Let's break them down and see what works where. Right, now let's look at the ice pick grip. So if you have a double-edged knife, that's even better. That works even better. But what we're going to look at now is hooking our opponent's limbs, whereby we create an opening to be able to cut them. So first of all, when you think of the ice pick grip, it is a more hidden way of moving. So you don't want someone to see your knife. It is a way of getting the knife as a sneaky way of attack. Okay? I don't think it is for face-to-face. I know he's got a knife, I've got a knife, and I'm going to fight ice pick grip. I think that is not a good option. You would have the bayonet grip for that. But from a sneaky point of view, if you know that you are going to be crowded by several people, then this is a better option because it covers the wrist from where someone would try and grab your wrist, where if someone grabs your wrist here, it makes life a lot more difficult. So in this position here, anyone grabbing your arm has to deal with the blade. Okay? So it makes gripping much more difficult within a crowded situation where you cannot slash and hack with the bayonet grip. Okay, long story short, we are going to be using the knife to hook our opponent's arm out the way. Again, the combination that we're doing isn't this is how you fight. It merely tries to cover all the various angles. So, we have our knife away from us, we have our shield arm in front, we are trying to deflect, we're going to move in, we hook the opponent's arm away, we try and get this part to hook the opponent's arm, and then we cut. We hook our opponent's arm, pull, and then cut. So we want to get to the inside of the arm and then slice up. So again, let's take those first 4 movements again. Hook 1 and cut. Hook 2 and cut. Then we bring the knife to this side here and we're stabbing and again tearing, cutting through, stabbing, and we want to tear and cut through. Then from here we're going to now, this is again a slightly more defensive movement. If your wrist was grabbed here between the blade and the wrist, we want to turn our arm to try and break free of that grip while getting to the inside. So if my opponent's grabbing, I want to turn and be inside here from where I'm going to pull up again. So I want to break out of the grip, which I'll show when we are training with partners again. Let's take the combination again. First movement, hook the arm out the way, get to the inside, cut. Maybe add a stab. Hook, pull away and cut. Then we stab from right inwards, cut. Stab from left inwards, cut. Now, let's imagine the arm's been grabbed. I pull down. I want to yank my arm out of the grip while stabbing. Then I want to pull my arm up, stab, and then, just for the fun of it, we are going to use the butt of the knife again to always remember If I cannot be stabbing here, my arm's this way around, that's our object. Hit your opponent against the temple, in the throat, on the nose, and obviously from there you're going to keep cutting. So let's look at the whole combination one last time. We have the knife on our hip, elbows tucked in. We are in a grappling situation with our opponent. So you want to hook the arm and then cut. Hook the arm and cut. Stab, cut through, stab, cut through. Someone grabs our arm, we want to break out with a cut here and a stab. We pull up, we're stabbing like in the horror movies, and then from there, just for the fun of it, punch with the back of the knife's handle into the face. Right, practice that a bit, and then we'll move over to the dummy and explore a couple of movements and analyze them, how they would work.